on, everybody? It is your ultra-violent siren, your deathmatch succubus, and your favorite indie hype girl, Kakeface Karlee. And welcome back to episode 2 of X Brand Wrestling Unleashed. Today, I have an amazing guest. He is not only the current X Brand Wrestling World Champion, he is the face of the company. He is one half of Peace, Love, and Deathmatch. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthraxx.
Hello. Hello. Good to finally meet you.
It is so good to finally meet you. I mean, when I became a fan of X Brand Wrestling, like you were the main one that caught my eye. It was just you were so amazing to watch, so captivating. So it is such a true honor being able to do this.
Thank you. I mean, I appreciate all the reviews you get on X Brand and H2O and everything else. It's been a little while. I know you had some things going on, but hey, we're right back to it again,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely, yeah. So I wanted to take the time to get to know you and have everyone get to know the man behind the champion.
Sure.
So I wanted to know what got you into wrestling in the first place. What is like your first memory of wrestling in general?
Well, that's funny because my first memory, like in general, is of watching WrestleMania 9, which I know is not everybody's favorite WrestleMania, but WrestleMania 9 with my dad and just watching Hulk Hogan beat Yokozuna. And at the time, I'm a kid. I think I was like 5 or 6 or some 5 maybe. I Nobody gave a shit about all that stuff back then, and nobody cared that oh, Bret Hart should have been the champion. Nobody cared about that back then. Hulk Hogan was a superhero to all of us, and that's literally my first actual memory, not of just wrestling, like in general.
Wow. So with that being said, were you leaned more towards of being like a WWF, WWE kid? Were you one of the Monday Night Warriors that wanted to watch a little bit of Nitro and
Um, I was, obviously a WWF fan through and through, but I switched back and forth when the Monday Night Wars started happening, and then, all my old favorites like Hogan and Savage and all them went to WCW, and during the NWO, and then, then you had DX and Stone Cold became in my teenage years like another Hulk Hogan for me and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely switched back and forth.
okay. So when was it when you first like found the more ultra violent side of wrestling? Was that like later on? Was that kind of within the mix?
Within the mix, I would say that would be probably ECW. I remember bugging, like literally begging my grandmother to let me order their first pay per view, Barely Legal, and she, first of all, because they put it on so late. I think it was like 9 or 10 o'clock on a Sunday, and I had school the next day.
Right.
But inevitably, that happened. I got to watch it, and uh, that was pretty much what introduced me to the world of hardcore, more or less, I would say hardcore wrestling per se. Um, and then Mick Foley, who I knew was Cactus Jack from ECW, came over to the WWF, and they started doing hardcore stuff over in the WWF, and I was like, I'm just sold. This is, I love this.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So, and then when was it like with like brands like, Combat Zone and stuff like that? Was that shortly after? Or was
hmm
that like, okay, cool.
That was probably shortly after, probably when ECW pretty much folded. Um, and I was like strolling through the TV, and CGW used to come on this channel we have here in the New Jersey, Philadelphia area. It's called WGTW Channel 48. It was kind of like a public access kind of channel,
Okay.
sort of. But CGW came on there at like 9, 10, 11, sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning. And I discovered it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is wild. Like, the use of glass and everything else. I was hooked from there. Like, we're going back like when CGW was like John Zandig, Wife Beater, Lobo, all them. Like, that's what really turned me on to deathmatch wrestling. And as further that I grew, discovering, the Japan stuff and everything like that, I just became more and more captivated with the art form.
Okay. So when do you think was that like aha moment, that decision making factor that was like, you know what? I want to do more than just watch this. I want to be this.
Well, I always wanted to be a professional wrestler and stuff like that, but what gave me the push and be like, you know what, I'm
Sure.
gonna go do this. Yeah, just the initial push, I guess, came when uh, CZW was fairly new to the Flyers skate zone around this point in Voorhees. So that was their home. Like DJ Hyde took it over and they started moving there. So I started going to more shows over there. I started going to I think my first show there was Drake Younger versus Sammy Callahan in an ultra violent Iron Man match.
Oh
And
my.
then yeah. And then the very next show was Tangled Web 5 with Matt Tremont versus DJ Hyde, and that's where Matt takes the big choke slam off the thing and gets tangled in the wire. And
That's my.
everything, yep, everything about that match was magic to me. You know, it was like Matt captivated my emotions. Like when he got taped up, went to the back, and then started cutting that promo, and then came back out. I'm like, this is fucking art.
I absolutely love that. That is so amazing. So when you're like, okay, I want to do this and seriously do it, when did you start training, and who trained you? Where was like your first?
Well, this is a series of things. So
Okay.
I my initial school that I went to for about, I would say, a year, maybe a little longer, was Combat Zone. So over there, I was getting trained by DJ. I was getting trained by um, Joe Gacy had a hand in things. Um, yeah, who else was training us then? Black G's came in. We had all kinds of like people that would come in and just run classes with us. Like Black G's came in uh, a couple times. Masada came in. Danny Havoc came in for a couple times.
Oh, love
Uh,
that.
yeah, and I was training during the time when people like Connor Claxton and the Rep and people like that were still students. So this is going back to my like 20s. So I trained there for about a year and changed. And then real life stuff happened. I had to take a step back. And then I came back and started training with Joe Gacy and his brother, and actually Chondo, at this place called New Moon Rising over in, I think it was Westville, New Jersey. It's evolved now into Super Crazy. Like that's what it's known as today.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was training over there for a little while, and then inevitably New Moon Rising closed down. So I just stopped. And then Matt opened up his own school before H2O. And Matt and me knew each other from the CZW days and everything. I said, Matt, I want to get back into wrestling. And you're going to be, he told me he was going to be opening up his own school. So I did a couple classes there. But by this point, I'm like 3 kids deep. And real life stuff kind of like really took over, so I had to take a step back. But Matt will tell you, and a bunch of other people will tell you, I was in his first few classes. I was his original student along with Sean Henderson. We're probably the only two that are still around. Me from that class, me and Sean. And then H2O came a thing. Um, and then the rest is history. I joined H2O right around when COVID was starting to become a thing. So they couldn't really run shows at the time, so it was all training, all the time. But Matt knew that I wanted it, and he accepted me back. And the rest is history. I guess that's my whole training. So if you really want to talk about it, I've been training off and on and been a wrestler off and on for like fucking 10 years, maybe longer.
Okay. That's such an amazing history. Like, and what an amazing amount of talent that you've had train you, and I mean it shows. It shows with your work, absolutely.
Well, in H2O, we had, you know, Matt obviously was running classes. We had somebody that a few people will know, a lot of people should know. His name was Preacher Phineas James. He helped train Schlack. He helped train Schlack, Marcus Mathers. You know, all these guys you see doing things today. Brittany Blake. He trained them. He trained them all. So he was one of our teachers. David Keener, who was an ECW referee, was also one of our trainers at H2O. Who else? We had people come in all the time, just like CZW. Brandon Kirk came in, ran a couple classes. Homicide came in, ran a couple classes. 440 came in, did like a class. Who else? Too Cold Scorpio did a little seminar in a class. Mickey Knuckles. Um, yeah, we had a lot of hands in the pot for that.
What an incredible story with H2O. I mean, I remember my first time of just watching the brand, and you can see that it's just more than just a promotion. It's such a family, and that if there wasn't like a reason why I love deathmatch wrestling already, and just that side of the independence, it was H2O of just that everyone
Yeah,
helping and everyone just with love and respect for each other, and that a lot of people who criticize the deathmatch scene is like they don't see that, and it's like, look, like there's so much love there.
I think what we had at H2O was really special. Um, but if you really like think about it, H2O was something special that was not meant to go on forever. It was kind of like ECW, where it was like this is the start. This is where you start. Where you finish is up to you. But I mean, H2O had a lot of great moments and memories. And I don't think there will really ever be a promotion quite like what we had in Williamstown.
I can 100% agree with that. And with the, I guess, end or possible end with H2O, the last show, which I had, just from watching, had a whole back tears and everything. The match you had with Alex Stretch, your partner.
Yeah.
Um, you can just see the history in that match. I would love to know, like, when did that, with Peace, Love, and Death match? I would love to know the history of that.
The history with me and Alex Stretch is a funny one because when I first came into the school, Alex had already been there for probably, I would say, about 7 months to a year at this point. And straight out the gate, um, he didn't tell me this at the time, but later down the line, him and Preacher told me like it was always meant to be me and Alex. Like those were the two deathmatch kids to come from the school that came into the school with that purpose. Not, we came to learn how to wrestle, but we came to learn from the best to be the best in deathmatch wrestling. So when I came in and I met Alex, and I say this in one of my promos, where we shook hands for the first time, the rest is history. Like we could see in each other's eyes, and ever since that moment, our careers were before Peace, Love, and Deathmatch. Our careers were intertwined. Like my first big, I guess, show, we had a thing called Pay Your Dues, where it was like a student show, but it was like a bigger student show. That was against Alex, or going by the time he was going by Nothing Face. And then my first actual tournament, which was Heir to Thy Throne, my first round was me, Stretch, and Chris Bradley. And then after that, the rest is history. Like everywhere I went, he was there, and everywhere he went, I was there. Like we didn't wrestle in Atlantic City when H2O went down Atlantic City. It was me and him that just fucked around the ring and did a segment in the ring, and it was just chaos as they were like setting up the ropes because Matt and Atticus Kogar just had a no rope barbed wire. So as they're putting up the ropes, me and like Matt's like, just go out there and stretch and just kill like 10 minutes while we're doing this. So like every moment I have somehow involves stretch, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like that last match that we got to have at the H2O Center was very emotional. Once the 3 count happened, I just was like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. But I didn't want to do it with anybody else but him, if that makes any sense, because he was the one. Yeah, he was the one that I said this in my promo that there would be. I don't think there would be an Anthraxx without Alex Stretch, and there wouldn't be an Alex Stretch without Anthraxx. And then you throw Lady Blakely into the mix, and she's just, she's Stretch's girl, fiance now, but she is one of the people that also came to H2O to learn how to be a deathmatch wrestler as a female. So she fit pretty much right in with the three of us because it started off with me and Stretch just being a tag team. And they were like, well, let's just make this a fucking faction, So you threw Lady Blakely in there. You had cameos from Louie and Junior and everybody else. Peace, Love, and Deathmatch came to be for love of deathmatch wrestling and appreciating the art of deathmatch wrestling, and peace and love towards each other. That's what we stand for. So if you believe in it, if you believe in all those things, then you're an honorary member of Peace, Love, and Deathmatch.
I absolutely love that. And I think you worded it perfectly. And I think that's why, even before I found out your tag team and everything, why I've just been such a huge fan of both of yours. I mean, especially you in general. You have such a way of describing why you like deathmatch wrestling and everything. So after H2O had ended, something was announced with you and the Prince of Strips, the hardcore hoochie daddy, JB Anderson, where you guys were going to do BOH, Born of Hustle. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what it was. That's what it was originally going to be called. Yes.
So, and I know that there were you guys had like a few matches that had already like set, and then it just kind of stopped. Will that be something that'll be happening in the future, or is that kind of on the back burner for right now because you guys are just doing so much stuff?
I think it's more on the back burner right now because like I also have my hand with Stretch and Chondo and Lady Blakely for what it's worth in IWA Vintage. So the whole BOH thing came about because me and JB had this dream to not let what we had here in Williamstown die, because we had the talent, and it's talent that even now it's talent that you don't see too often anymore, and it's a shame because everybody that came out of that school is really fucking good.
100%.
Yeah. We had a banger card lined up too. Like, I don't even think we got through finishing all the matches that we had to announce, but I know we announced Chondo and Hardcore and Stretch, and then me and Brax, and then JB and Jess versus Louie and Junior. We had a couple other ones that I trying to remember offhand. I think we were doing Declan versus Leroy. Yeah.
Great match.
We were gonna do Austin versus Brian Neal.
Ooh.
And there might have been one or two more that I can't remember off the top of my head. But, it was one of those things where things just didn't work out the way I wanted them to, and everything kind of just fell through. But no hard feelings to anybody involved in the project. It was something that I really wanted to do, especially for a WrestleMania weekend. But things happen. But I'm really glad that even with the announcement and even with the match announcements and everything that we made such an impression on everybody just in a short period of time that the show was announced. That they actually really wanted to see it. I honestly, to this day, think that we would have had the biggest crowd that the shelter had ever seen.
Oh, hands down. I mean, I know I was just like, okay, when is there gonna be updates? I want to make a video on it. Like I'm like, okay, like let's get ready for it. But yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Um, one thing that you and JB Anderson were a part of somewhat recently was at the Tournament of Death. You guys were part of the tarp of
Oh
I
boy.
would like to know. It was definitely something, huh?
It was definitely something. So I was originally contacted. I was originally contacted because they were going to do that scramble deathmatch thing in Atlantic City with JB and Jess and Stretch and all them,
Right.
and then that kind of fell through. Then they were going to, but if that ended up happening, they were going to do another scramble at um, the following show that happened at the brewery, and I was supposed to be in that. So I like to think that I was one of the first few people. I was maybe the first person besides the original Scramble participants that was contacted to be in the tarp, which was cool. Um, Going
Absolutely.
in, yeah, it's cool. It was kind of like a full circle thing for me. You know what I mean? Like going back to like training at CZW and then um, so going into it, I didn't know what to expect. We were originally going to have like 30 fucking people in this thing. Like it was going to be a mess, more of a mess than it actually already was. Uh, so getting there the day of, it was exciting though. It was really exciting to be actually a part of Tournament of Death in some way, shape, or form. Getting to be there and help out and just be a part of the show. And fans are driving up and they're dropping off weapons. And to my knowledge, the weapons were supposed to be sorted through, and the people in the tournament got to pick what they wanted to pick, and then the rest were going to be on the tarp.
Okay.
And sure enough, everything just went on the fucking tarp. It was like they had this whole idea of just like everybody starting out and running to the middle to grab their specific weapon. There was no room to move. You couldn't do that.
Oh no. Almost like essentially like how a game of dodgeball is, where you just grab the ball in the middle and then just try it.
Yeah, it
Okay.
it was chaos. So like going into it, you have I think it was like 16 or 18 people all in the back trying to call stuff, and I'm just sitting back there like I just need to know the order of elimination because this is all going to go to shit as soon as we go out there. And sure enough, it did. But you know what? It was a moment that I will never forget. It was fun. It was also chaos. And it was also one of those things that was like, what's the word? It was one of those things that the fans should not have liked as much as they did, but they loved it. And guess what? In wrestling, when the fans tell you they like something that much, you bring it back again. So I honestly expect the tarp to make a return next year.
Fingers crossed. Oh my god, that's amazing. I mean, I'm glad that even though I mean it was obviously very chaotic and everything, you can see, the silver lining. It definitely was so cool to see everybody. So I love that.
Yeah,
Um, something a little bit more fun that happened with you in CZW recently. You got to be on a ship with
yeah,
tag partner, and you guys went against Schlack and Eric Ryan.
crazy, right? Wild.
Oh my gosh, tell me
Uh,
about like how was that experience of like because it was like a battleship, right?
Yeah, it was a legit battleship. It was like a battleship, I think, that was used in World War II, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And originally going into it, the last show they had, this is their second show, I believe, on the battleship that we did. The first show was like they had this tent, and the ring was inside the tent. But DJ was really adamant on having the ring on the deck. And sure enough, we had that ring on the fucking deck. And it was really cool. Like, this, not my first time working Eric Ryan, and it was not my first time working Schlack. Um, it was an experience like I don't think I'll ever forget. Just because, again, like the tarp was like a full circle thing, but this was actually a full circle thing for me to actually be advertised on a show, even though they spelled my fucking name wrong.
Oh,
Uh, they spelled it Anthraxx. So anyway, it's okay. Um, Me and Stretch actually cut a promo for that match, and in the promo, we said uh, we were wrestling on a boat like 20 times, on a motherfucking boat like 20 times, and come to find out that CZW didn't accept the collaboration on Instagram because the the Battleship people were going to get mad if they found out we call it a boat.
oh,
So we so we kind of got CZW a little bit of trouble with
oh,
that one. So yeah, we called it a boat like 20 fucking times in that promo. But you know what? Whatever. It just makes that story even better.
definitely. So, real quick, because you mentioned like with they spelling your name wrong and everything, where did you come up with Anthrax? Like,
Um, I didn't technically come up with it. In H2O, Preacher Phineas James, who I had mentioned, he liked to give people nicknames, and he said that I looked like either the lead singer or groupie to the band Anthrax.
oh,
Yeah. So, and at the time, I was like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna run with it, and I dyed like the bottom of my beard red and shit, and that's like when I debuted, I had, and for a couple months after that, I had like red in my beard. Now it's fucking gray because I'm old, I guess. I don't know. Um, but that's how it came to be. And there was discussion of like, do you want to use this name or do you want to use something else? And me and Matt talked about it, and I was like, well, I mean, it's over with the boys, and that's what everybody called me. So fuck it, I'll just be Anthrax. And sure enough, my debut match, the fans chanted Anthrax like in the style of Goldberg, like Anthrax, kind of like that. So I was like, all right, well, we're sticking with this one then.
oh hell yeah! And especially with that kind of chant, that had to give you like goosebumps. Like, okay, like all right,
It was my first time there. Like, I don't know why they're fucking chanting for me, but you know what? Let's go.
like sweet, thanks.
Yeah, right.
So, in the midst of all this time, like with you with H2O and being in CCW, that full circle moment, you've also been a part of X Brand Wrestling. And not just a part of
Hmm.
it. I mean, you are the face, and you've made history multiple times. You're multi-time champion. You were part of the first ever Wicked 13 tournament. I mean, you just in general, like I mentioned before, I mean, I could go on and on about you. I mean, like amazing in general. So, when did you start with X Brand?
X Brand's inaugural show. Like they were a backyard wrestling federation back in the day, and that's why Justin knows Ross and Bradley and all them. Like because they were like back in the day, they were part of like the backyard thing. Like it wasn't anything serious like nowadays. You know what I mean? Like you have a backyard fed nowadays where it's like it's a legit thing. But it was more like kids being kids back then. But when Justin decided, you know what, I'm going to bring this back and I'm going to actually run a legit show. Um, Alex Stretch was supposed to face Hellaware Assassin, but Stretch ended up coming down with COVID. So Justin hit me up and asked me if I wanted to work Hellaware. And I said, yeah, hell yeah. Uh, I should have been more skeptical than I was because, like, literally a couple days before, I think this show happened on a Friday, maybe. I think it happened on a Friday. So that Sunday, I think it was a Sunday, I wrestled for H2O, and it was me and Stretch versus Neil Diamond Cutter and Jeff Cannonball. And we went like 30 minutes of just nonstop fuckery because it was a shitstorm death match. So, like, every couple of minutes, buckets of weapons will be brought out, and the ring was just cluttered. And I had gusset plate marks in my heads from that. We did light tubes in that match. Like, that was fun. But coming off of that and going into this, I should have been more skeptical than I was because I'm like, I'm already beat up. Fuck it, we're gonna do this. So I did it, and it pretty much stole the whole show. Me and Hellaware didn't really do anything. And, like, if I could pull back the curtain a little bit, Hellaware hadn't really wrestled in quite a few years up until this point. And within like the first 2 minutes, he was fucking gassed. And I'm like, all right, I'm not. I'm just like, all right, what do I do? Let's just do this shit. So it turned chicken shit into chicken salad, essentially. And we had pretty much the match of the night, and we went buck wild. And I think it was a New Jack tribute match. I think that's what they were calling it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So his theme song was like playing the whole match and stuff. But it was fun. I am very honored that I got to be Hellaware's first match, like back on the East Coast and shit. In I don't remember how many years. I think it was like 13. But ever since then, I have pretty much been the face of X Brand Wrestling, and that's why I call myself the face of X Brand Wrestling, because I have been with the company since day one. Day one. Like, it's hard for me to imagine. Like, I've been with this company, I've been with Justin for all this time and watched us grow and everything. Like, when Wicked 13 was announced, I originally wasn't supposed to be in the tournament because I was going to be defending the title, and I was like, again, pulling back the curtain, I said, Justin, just give it to whoever and put me in the tournament because I want to be in the tournament. And we're looking at what Wicked 13 did, and like, it was very emotional. Like, I'm sure it was very emotional for Justin too, but like for me, being there since day one and watching how far we've come, and like this weekend we're going to fucking Texas, like, it's crazy. And that's why I call myself the face of this company, because I am. I am the workhorse of this company. I'm the workhorse of this company so much that I wrestled 3 times in one night for this company, winning the world title for the first time by the end of it. And the next day, I wrestled twice for Perry, but I was the X Brand champion, so I was also affiliated with X Brand. So 5 times in one weekend, basically for this company. And that's why I call myself the workhorse of this company and the face of this company, because show me somebody else. Show me somebody else that's put that much blood, sweat, and tears in this brand. Exactly. Where are you?
Absolutely. I mean, and even without knowing absolutely of everything you've been a part of, until now, like with X Brand, I mean, you can just tell that you are the blood, sweat, and tears of this company. And that is another, I mean, wholeheartedly. The first time I tuned into an X Brand show and I saw you, I was like, wow. Oh yeah, I hook, line, sinker. I need to watch this brand all the time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you might have been beating up Chondo, but I mean, who isn't beating up Chondo? But
Who's not beating up Chondo? That
I
might have
mean,
actually been. It was a joint promotion between Justin and Perry's company, PWA. I believe that's what it was. Because I remember, I think it was me versus Chondo versus Dirtbag Dan. And that night, the original X Brand Wrestling champion was crowned in Christian Ross. So that's a pretty solid moment for X Brand because that's pretty much the kickoff to everything. That was the kickoff to me chasing the belt. Like right there, like that moment, being in that match, and then Ross coming out and somehow winning the title. Like that was the chase, and it all culminated at that the show at the H2O Center, nonetheless, where I wrestled 3 times and became the champion. It was IW. It was our first live stream on IWTV as well for that when I won the title.
that's so amazing. I mean, looking back, like when you first started all this, like, and now, having your full circle moments and you're the face of a company. Like, I mean, that's just, I'm so incredibly like happy for you and just everything you've accomplished. Like, kudos, man. Like, that is just
Thank
so
you.
cool. I mean, honestly,
Thank
um,
you.
did you ever think like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the face of a company one day?
No, and to be quite honest with you, like I pretty much came up with that moniker like myself because I think we were going into Wicked 13, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to shoot straight from the hip with this promo, and I was like, nobody has been with this company as long as I have. I've been here since day one. Um, and you know what, for what it's worth, uh, me and Eric Ryan pretty much had like a really solid 5 minute death match, and it was probably one of the best moments I've had in my career so far. Just getting to go out there and wrestle with him, and just like to pull back the curtain a little bit again. Like he in that match, he gave me more than he had to. He was very generous in the things that like he had me do, but it was also a story because if you watch the story of that match, like I'm on top for most of the match, and then out of nowhere he rolls me up for the 1, 2, 3. So in hindsight, if I was a little smarter, maybe I would be the X Core champion and not Mickey Knuckles. Just
So,
saying.
so interesting that you say that because this weekend is going to be the Deep in the Heart of Death match in Houston, Texas. Um, you said you're going to be doing something the first night. You're not 100% sure, but
I am doing something. I will be there. As we spoke about off camera, like I'm literally landing and going straight to the venue, and hopefully have time to put my gear on and just fuck it. Whoever wants some, come get some. I'll put the belt on the line 1 day before I'm supposed to put it on the line with Mickey Knuckles.
ooh, okay. So then on the 8th, this is all or nothing. It's you and Mickey Knuckles, you, the face of this company, even before you ran with that moniker. Like, you are the face, you are the champion, and you're going against everyone's favorite aunt, Mickey Knuckles, the first ever X Core champion. All or nothing. What are your thoughts?
It's a lot going into this match because somebody's walking out with both titles. Somebody will be the X Brand Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, and somebody will be the X Core Champion. Two of our biggest titles that we have. The X Core title represents deathmatch wrestling for X Brand Wrestling, and the World Heavyweight title represents the best of the best. So you have both these titles up for grabs, and I'm like, I'm ready to die. I'm ready to go out there and walk out with both, or die. Now, I posted something yesterday that said, like, I need this, like, I need to feel something, and I know that Mickey's going to make me feel everything. And that's very true. Like, I'm going in this full head of steam. Like, whatever fucking happens, happens. I know Mickey Knuckles is one of, if not the best to do it. And she's been around a long time. She's the queen of this shit. She beat Nick Gage, so to me, she's the king and queen of this shit. She's top of the food chain for me. Like, I guess to be the best, you have to beat the best. I guess. Well, tomorrow I'm gonna Saturday. Sorry, I'm gonna damn sure try.
And I certainly believe, I, of course, I love Mickey. I'm a big fan of both of yours. I have been a writer for you, like I said, since the beginning with X brand of watching. So I love her. I'm so hoping you're
If
so
I could just make a message right now, uh,
sweet.
Justin can clip this. Whoever wants to clip this, I'm telling the promoter Jamie of Loco Wrestling, give us me and Mickey everything you have. I don't care what it is. Pains, tubes, give us fucking everything. Because I'm going in there Saturday to steal the show. Win, lose, or draw, I'm going in there to steal the fucking show.
Y'all heard that. Somebody clip that immediately. Oh my gosh, that is just so exciting. Like, with everything you've been a part of, X brand, CZW, H2O, are there any like promotions that you would love to at least, dip your toe in per se?
Yes. There's one that some people will say that is long overdue, and that is ICW. Um, there has been countless people that have said, "Well, Stretch was in the chains. When are we putting Anthraxx in the chains?" I'm not the person to ask for that. It's a bucket list of mine. Obviously, like, I want to be in ICW. I belong in the chains, flat out. I belong in the chains, and if you put me in the chains with my ICW debut against Danny DeMonto, I will do whatever I have to do to make a statement.
Oh God. Seeing honestly, like that would be such a even just personal dream match to see, like, because any match that he has, like when there's an event for ICW going on, I mean, he always goes balls to the walls, and you are always like the same. And so, I mean,
Like,
that's gonna be
he
incredible.
was Danny DeMonto himself was on my bucket list that I want to face in 2025. So we can roll that right over to 2026. But there's there was a lot of people that were asking for me to be in the chains. It hasn't happened yet. Um, hopefully soon. Hopefully it happens soon. Obviously GCW would be another one. Like, if not in GCW, I just want to be in a tournament of survival just once. I want to be in a Nick Gage Invitational just once. I want to do these things. These are goals of mine. What else? Horror Slam is another one that I would love to be a part of one day. POR, I would love to go down to Virginia because I've already faced a lot of their guys, and I beat them. Are you listening, JJ? I beat them, every one of them.
Oh,
So that would be another goal of mine. Put me in there with the man himself. I don't give a fuck. And obviously Japan's a goal. Big Japan wrestling, um, all that good stuff. That's a goal of mine. I've had a lot of promotions I got to cross off the list that I actually got to perform for, but I would love to perform for again, like New Fear City. I wrestled for them, faced Casanova at a New Fear City show, and that was a blast. I would love to go back there sometime. CZW, I'm waiting. I don't know how many people saw it, but on Facebook, I said Combat Zone Wrestling, give me Air and Ash. Like, I want the smoke. Give
Ooh.
him to me. Uh, because, he's tested against Jess Moss and Declan Grant and Jimmy Lloyd now. Um, I've come from a different crop. Like, Jimmy was a big stepping stone for him. Um, but for me, I've cut arteries. I have holes in places I don't want to mention. I have a fucking, I had a gaping hole in my leg at an X-Brand Wrestling show, and I took the fucking glass out of it and taped it up and kept going. Like, I want the smoke. I want air and ash. But just to be brought back to Combat Zone Wrestling would be awesome, regardless. But still, give me air and ash.
Oh my god. Any of those matches and people you mentioned, I honestly I was like I've been getting goosebumps. I'm like, yes, yes. Oh my god, I can see any of those happening. And something that's amazing about I was gonna mention this a few different times before. Whether you're cutting a promo or just speaking, you are absolutely captivating. Anytime you have any type of promos that are on Instagram or anything, I'm like, okay, I got to see what's going on. I got to see what to put up. I got to see because you you have such a commanding voice. You're captivating, and I mean this in the most positive way possible. You have such a voice to you and a way and how you look into the camera. I mean, you could run a cult, and I mean that in the most respectful way possible. Like you, and it's amazing. You just exude like you pull people in. Where
You
do you
know, it's
draw that
I,
from?
it comes from. I feel like the best promos are the ones that are real and emotional. Like, for example, when I went against Matt and we were doing 200 light tubes, I cut a promo that basically told the story of me and him and how when I was training at CZW, there was one time I was staffing an event and I went outside, and the first time me and Matt really ever shared words is he asked to bum a cigarette off of me, and I told him in that conversation that one day I want to have a death match with you, and he's like, "Yeah, just keep at it, and we'll get it." And sure enough, it happened. But I told like the best promos come from just being yourself, kicked up a little bit. And that's what I try and tell people that ask me. Like, I've had a couple people ask me what I think of this promo, what I think of this promo. And there's some people that just talk for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, you can't cut a 5 minute promo because it's the audience, unless you're like Atticus Kogar or Ricky Shane Page, like you're not, or Matt Tremont, you're not going to keep the audience invested into your words for 5 minutes. So I try and tell people 2 minutes is that money mark. Keep it at 2 minutes. Um, don't, and I'm not one to talk about this, I know, but don't be all like fuck, 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 fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. Like you don't got to do that. But I'm not one to talk because I curse like a sailor. But that's kind of like who I am. Like my moniker is the motherfucking suplex machine. So it's in the name. Um, I just it just comes out. I guess it's also from watching people like that were so good at doing it, like Matt himself, and like Jake the Snake Roberts and Raven and people like that were just so good and knew how to captivate you and pull you in just with their words. Um, that's kind of what I like to base my style on. It's kind of funny that you mentioned like me like commanding and stuff like that and having I've been told many times that when people see me in the ring, they're legitimately like terrified, but then when they meet me outside the ring, they're like, "Oh, you're just a giant soft-spoken teddy bear." And I'm like, "Yeah, don't tell anybody."
Like, yeah, I mean, I mean, you absolutely, it's the truth. I mean, you're very, very kind and everything. I won't tell anybody, but,
I think
like,
the secret's out now.
all right, Justin, yeah, clip that. But one thing, you touched base a little bit earlier, speaking like with how you word things and stuff. Another thing that for me was such a like, oh yeah, this is one of my death match people that I'm going to follow. Like, is I forgot. I mean, there's been multiple times that you've worded this way of just how your love for death match and how it's like art. And I wanted you to kind of give everyone a little of what you think of why is deathmatch art to you.
Deathmatch to me is art because you implement. Well, the the good ones will implement the wrestling with the violence. Um, there's a lot more to deathmatch wrestling than just swinging weapons. Even though there's a lot of it, there's a lot more to it than that. The way the okay example tournament of death that just passed. You had Schlack and Dread, and you had even um, I think it was Drake and Akira and Dread. Like the ring was filled with water and blood, and it was just like a red river, and that's the art form to me. The art. Implementing the wrestling with the violence, being able to tell a story with the weapons, like there's art. There's no art to just swinging things, just for the sake of swinging things. Um, I think the deathmatch wrestler's body, with the scars and everything on it, is art because every scar tells a story. Like you can point to a scar in my body and like, do you remember where you got this one from? And I can probably tell you. Like I have a couple on my head that I remember very vividly where they came from. Like one was from a match with Low Life Louie, and the other one was when I cut the artery in my head when I faced Matt in 200 light tubes. There's a lot of them up there. Um, but I think that's also art. There's also things that people do with wrestlers, like people will make blood canvases after you wrestle, and they'll like take one of those blank white canvases and they'll put it on your head or your body or whatever, and that's art. People see it as art. Um, there's a saying that says deathmatch wrestling is art, and I like to use that saying every time there's an artistic picture of me being violent, but it's also art. Like there's one where I have the rings of Saturn on somebody, and I have my red claw, and I'm have the claw on them as I have them in the rings of Saturn, and they're screaming and I'm screaming, and it's just a picture. But to me, that's art. Yeah, I think everybody has a different way of interpreting stuff when it comes to art, but that's the way I see it. I think, like I said, blending the wrestling with the violence, the storytelling with the violence, that's art. The scars on everybody's body, the raw emotion. Like when you watch a movie, people are applying their craft, their art form in that movie. And when you watch wrestling, especially deathmatch wrestling, people are applying their craft and applying like using their art form and captivating you and pulling you in and just exuding so much energy. Like take Matt for example. I'm sure you've seen the clips of him getting hit in the head with a steel chair with a gusset plate in. The gusset plate comes out and he screams, and then there's this fucking uh, blood just squirting from his head as he's screaming. That's art. Like it's very gory and very disgusting to some people, but to some other people, that's art.
Gosh, that whole thing was like, those old like chicken noodle soup for the soul type books. Oh,
There you go.
like honestly, like no better way to describe it. 100%. Like so. Thank you for telling everyone because sometimes it's hard to explain to people. Like, yeah, but it's so gross. It says, and it's like, yeah, I know. It's the beauty within that. It's the dedication. It's the love.
Well, do you know like the thing that attracts um, if you go back and watch it, it's from the early '90s. But he does it all the time, so you can probably find anything of him doing. But Atsushi Onita is really good at the storytelling and the art form, where he'll literally be crying with somebody after a match is over, because he's in so much pain and his body is just so burnt up, but he made it through, and he's stronger because of it. Like it's a movie within wrestling, and he did it well. Terry Funk did it well. Mick Foley did it well. Like when Mick Foley got thrown off the Hell in a Cell, and he came back, like that's the art form of sucking the fans in. And it was like, this guy's crazy. Like, what are they going to do now? Like, art in deathmatch wrestling isn't just like painting a picture. Even though I like to say our body in deathmatch wrestling is the canvas, and the blood and the scars are the paint. I guess that's a good way to sum it up.
Very beautifully said. Very beautifully said. So I want to know, who is your wrestling Mount Rushmore and who is your deathmatch wrestling Mount Rushmore?
Professional wrestling Mount Rushmore, uh, Hogan, Undertaker, Jake Roberts, Mick Foley, and Terry Funk. If I'm going to say five. If I say five, put Terry Funk on the list. But again, Mick Foley and Terry Funk, I guess, would be considered the hardcore deathmatch thing. But if you subtract them two and just add them to the deathmatch wrestling list, Randy Savage on the list, and Stone Cold Steve Austin on the list.
Okay.
Deathmatch wrestling: Foley, Funk, Matt, Gage, Kasai. Honorable mention: Low Life Louie.
That's amazing, amazing Mount Rushmore list. Very amazing. So one last thing that is, kind of random. What is your favorite snack? And if
Snack.
you have a sweet and savory, I don't mind hearing both.
So, uh, my favorite snack, like, okay, so after a bloody death match, I usually like to, crack open either whatever is next to me, a Red Bull, a Monster, something for the sugar. But I also like to double down and eat candy because you're losing so much blood. You got to get that blood sugar back up. So usually, what I would go to for that is Nerd Clusters or Mike and Ike's. Either one of those is my go-to. Usually, in most cases, it's Nerd Clusters.
That's awesome.
Snack, just
candy.
Nerd Clusters are amazing. Like, I don't know if there's any better uh, sweet candy out there. If you're talking about like chocolate, for me, it's uh, Reese's, but the Reese's that are in the shape of things, like the pumpkin or the tree or the egg. It's just something about them tastes better. So that's usually and not a popular opinion, but I do like almond joys a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, not a popular opinion. You don't hear that one often, but that's what I go to.
Well, that's definitely an amazing list. Definitely crazy that we have some in common with the nerd clusters. That's awesome.
Yeah, but can't eat too. I like custards. I'll eat the whole bag. If you give me a bag, I'll probably eat the whole fucking bag.
Oh God, yeah, like so
Yeah,
addictive. It's
I'll eat the
ridiculous.
whole bag.
Yeah, my obsession with those are absolutely ridiculous. But I wanted to thank you so much for being here. This is seriously like a beyond words an honor for me to do this, and to interview you is just like dream bucket list check off. I mean, you are so amazing. You're so kind. You're so informative, and again, just well rounded with everything. And I just wanted to thank you so much for doing this. I wanted you to take the time to tell everyone where they can find you and what you're doing next.
Okay. Well, on social media, um, my shoot name on social media, but if you search Anthraxx with two X's, you'll probably end up finding me. Um, or just type in Mark Anthraxx. You'll probably find me that way too. On the Instagram, it's Anthraxx underscore PLD. A lot of people have gotten confused because, there's two Instagrams out there, and the one is my original one that got hacked, unfortunately. That was Anthraxx H2O. That is no longer, I'm no longer on that. It is now Anthraxx underscore PLD. And on Twitter or the X, it's the same thing, Anthraxx PLD. Where to find me next? Texas. I will be in Texas this weekend. I am looking forward to it. I am looking forward to, you know, debuting for Loco and also showing Texas what X Brand Wrestling and especially how we do things here on the East Coast. But I don't know what I'm doing night one, but I'm doing fucking something.
And y'all heard, he'll even put the title on the line. So
I'll put the belt. I'll put the title on the line. I don't care who it is. Like Andy Lawler, you watching? I'll put the belt on the line against you.
Ooh.
No, I love Andy Lawler. He's fine. He's a cool guy. But yeah, I don't care who it is. No ring on Friday. I'll put the belt on the line. Let's go.
All right, hell yeah. And of course for me, you can find me on TikTok of Kakeface underscore Karlee, on Instagram, Kakeface underscore Karlee 2.0, and of course I'm here on the X Brand YouTube channel for X Brand Wrestling Unleashed. And as Anthraxx mentioned, this upcoming weekend in Texas, November 7th, it's going to be at the White Swan Live. There's going to be live music, tattoos, wrestling.
Cheap tattoos at that, and they look damn good too.
Right? Oh my gosh! Like the flash art. I mean, Chef's Kiss. All of them look so cool. And on night 2, it's going to be at 8404 Park Terrace. It's going to be champion versus champion. Winner takes all that night. If you guys haven't gotten tickets yet, go to localwrestling.bigcartel.com. And if you can't go, definitely watch it on Title Match Wrestling. And until next time, okay, thanks, bye.